Hey guys, EzraTime here and welcome back to another reaction videos, and today we are going to be reacting to the game theory video once again. This one is called FNAF An End and a Beginning, Help Wanted 2. Here's the weirdest thing about the Help Wanted 2 for me, because I actually did not realize that this game has been released for a month, I think, right? It was released in December, but I feel like it just goes under my radar until I realized that on late December that, oh yeah, Help Wanted 2 was released. So naturally I watched some videos, some Let's Play of it, just to see how the game was, and it was like, it's to be expected from the Help Wanted video, or like Help Wanted game, that it is a pretty fun game, it seems. It's on VR, obviously, and we finally get to see the level for sister location, but we also see some animatronics, from the security breach, like, Roxy, Glamrock Chica, Freddy Fazbear, obviously, or Glamrock Freddy, right? So it's nice to see that addition to Help Wanted 2, but I think for the lore itself, I was like, okay, like the usual Final Freddy stuff, about the lore, that I just waited for MatPat to make a video about it, and well, he did, I think, and I know that he released the video like a week ago, guys, but again, a week ago is like, it's New Year, or like close to New Year, so I didn't want to react to it, but I guess right now it's like, well, I might as well check it out just to see what's the story for the current story for the Five Nights at Freddy's lore, right? So without further ado, so start the video, shall we?
Come get your candy here, Candy.
Oh my god, Candy Cadet.
Tell you a story about an end and a beginning and an end and an end. There once was a boy covered in scars. He was so ashamed of his scars, he refused to look in a mirror. This lasted for so long. He eventually forgot they were ever there. Years passed until one day, this boy would come to the edge of a dark forest. There he saw a rabbit. He followed the rabbit as it scampered through the woods. They went over logs and around trees until he was eventually led to a beautiful flower. The scar-faced boy,
man, yep.
now a grown
I mean,
man,
it's glitch trap,
took the
obviously.
flower to give to his daughter, but
Right.
upon touching it, she died, for the flower was poisonous, and the man returned to the forest to play.
Hello, Internet. Welcome to.
I gotta say, it's an interesting story now, at least, because I thought the Ruin DLC is gonna be the last one for the Afton lore, I guess you could say that, and then we, venture into a new territory for the lore. But it seems like Help Wanted 2 might be the one that and everything. Who knows? But it's fun as a Freddy's, man. Anything could happen at this point.
The Game Theory, the show that encourages you to be mask off. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time to conclude the year of FNAF. With Tales from the Pizzaplex books releasing every 2 months, the Ruin DLC released back in July, and the FNAF movie happening in October, 2023 really did feel like the classic days of FNAF all over again. But there was a new release happening every few months. And to end the year of FNAF on an insanely high note, Steelwall decided to pull one final trick out of the Scott Cawthon playbook. They released a second game within 6 months of Ruin. Completely unexpected, but very exciting sequel to FNAF VR, Help Wanted. And let me tell you, they
helping
released a more perfect game at a more perfect time. Because at a moment of peak frustration with the fanbase, when Foxy, Stans, and Bonnie Bros had all collectively thrown up their hands in desperation, this game swooped in to deliver the answers that they so desperately needed. If the narrative of FNAF is kind of like a cracked piece of pavement...
Yeah, Bonnie and Foxy didn't appear, right, in the recent game. I just realized that. Well, I guess Roxy is kind of like replacement to Foxy, but she's a wolf, right? If I'm not mistaken, it's not a fox. But yeah, makes sense why Bonnie and Foxy fans
this game was the cement
upset.
Filling in the crevices,
Kinda.
patching up all the holes in the narrative just enough to give the whole thing a solid foundation again, at least for another couple of months. And I really do mean that. Not since FNAF 6 has there been a Freddy's game so determined to tie up loose ends and deliver answers to the lingering questions that have been piling up in the background. Basically, Help Wanted 2 single-handedly put a close on one major story arc, while also opening the door to another, a next generation. It's an ending and a beginning, all in one, depicting a cycle of violence that shows that you're never truly out of the woods when you're in the world of FNAF. In short, it's probably the single most important game release in the last 6 years for this franchise. So today, we're gonna solve this game together to see what it's trying to tell us and where it's pointing the series moving forward. So grab your Faz wrenches and get ready to step into madness, theorists. Today,
somewhat exciting,
finally, we're gonna see what
but I guess guess we'll see.
behind the mask. As the game opens, we're
Hide
welcomed in as
behind
a
the
new
mask.
employee of the pizzeria.
You guys remember that song, Hide Behind the Mask? It was a good song.
For a future pizza professional.
And after that short intro, we're immediately thrust into a pizzeria hub world full of training minigames, all while helping.
I gotta say, the menu in this game seems uninteresting or like not as fun as the first half wanted, you know, because the first one is like FNAF 1, FNAF 2, FNAF 3, and then you get the game, and then this one, like, there's a file, which is fine, you know. I don't play the game myself, so I don't know. I'm just saying that I think visually the first one seems way more fun, but again, I don't play the game, so hey, not me to judge, right?
Us forward from his little projector in the corner.
It's
But
kind of
very
nitpicky,
quickly,
guys. I'm
one
sorry.
question starts to rear its ugly head. Who are we? Who are we playing as? Throughout the various mini missions that we're presented with, one line that we hear repeated over and over again is, "What makes you so special?" 3 separate characters all bring it up: Moon, Baby, even Mystic Hippo.
What makes you so special?
What makes you so special?
What makes you so
Oh god, Mystic Hippo.
Considering everyone keeps asking us, we should probably have ourselves
I mean,
an
Mr.
answer
Hippo
ready
got a
for it,
girlfriend
right?
at
Well,
least.
we get a solid idea of who we might be thanks to plenty of explicit clues that are sprinkled throughout the game. First and foremost, we know that we're a Faz technician. Midway through the game, you unlock a Faz wrench that allows you to access a secret back area of the pizzeria. In that back room, there's a glowing tower that should look familiar to anyone who played through the Ruin DLC earlier this year, an inhibitor. Back in that game, these devices stopped you from being able to remove your AR-enabled Vanny mask. But that's silly. Why would that matter here? It's not like we're wearing a mask. Or are we? Sure enough, deactivating the tower allows you to reach up and remove the AR mask that's been stuck to your face since you first booted up the game. Suddenly, you see that this entire time you've been inside of a derelict pizzeria, worn down, decayed. And this isn't just any ruined pizzeria, it's the FNAF 6 location, complete with a recharge station and a Freddy spaghetti hole front and center. Not only is this just a fantastic mid-game twist that completely recontextualizes everything that you thought you knew about this game world, but it also helps.
I did not know that, by the way, that the protagonist is actually wearing a mask. You know, I seen the ending of the game, I seen some of the gameplay stuff, but like the Easter egg and stuff like that, I didn't really look it up, you know. So I just like kind of like waited there for MatPat, you know. I guess it's a nice way for me to get surprised, you know. Which is like, wow.
Who we are and why we're down here. You see, us having a Vanny mask, it's weird, right? Like, who are we? Why would we have something
maybe
like this in our possession? Well, it has to do with our job. In Ruin, Helpy tells us that these AR masks were worn to help technicians navigate through the destroyed Pizzaplex. Now, when I first saw that in the game, I was convinced that it was a trick just to get us to wear the mask and teach us the mechanics of this new game. But here we are in Help Wanted 2 in a destroyed Pizzaplex wearing a Vanny mask. And right there on the wall is a poster telling staff members to make sure they remove the mask at the end of the day. It proves that what Helpy was saying, at least in this moment, wasn't a trick. The mask is in fact a real tool that's used by Fazbear technicians, for as strange of a concept as that is. So we're a technician for
I gotta say that was really weird. That how does that helping you fix the pizzeria? I guess they give you a good example or like a good look how the pizzeria should look like if it was good, you know, but it's like, what's the purpose, you know? Like, it's just so weird right now. It's like the Matrix almost, right? The reality is like crumbling apart in a way. But it also makes sense because
the only thing we know.
it's a
Our
VR
next
game.
clue comes in the form of the Faz wrench. Midway through the game, you unlock this tool which allows you access to the back area of the pizzeria. Upon unlocking it, Mystic Hippo Carney Booth says that the key is familiar to us.
Look at Mr. Gumball. It's familiar to you.
So we know that we're someone who's used this tool in the past. Immediately, that should bring to mind one person, Cassie's dad. Earlier this year in the Security Breach Ruin DLC, we were introduced to a young girl named Cassie, who goes on a mission to rescue her friend Gregory from the destroyed remains of the derelict Pizzaplex. Along the way, she too obtains a Faz wrench and says this.
A Faz wrench? It's just like my dad's.
It's a pretty explicit connection there, and that's not all. In the Fazzer Blast arcade games and Help Wanted 2, we repeatedly hear the Carney say this.
Now, you look like you got him. Win a prize for the little one.
So we're a Faz tech who also happens to be a parent. Cassie's dad is literally the only character we know who truly fits the bill. But so what? What's the big deal if we're playing as Cassie's dad? It's not all that interesting. And you heard what Moon said.
What makes you so special?
We're special in some way. And let me just let's make this perfectly clear. All dads are special, okay? They have very important roles in their kids' lives. That's something that makes him very special, at least in my book.
True.
But obviously, we're talking about FNAF. The joys of parental responsibility, not what these characters are referring to.
No,
In a
of course
theory
not.
that I posted a couple months ago, I proposed that Cassie's dad wasn't just any technician. Instead, he was none other than the Bonnie bro from FNAF 4. You know, the kid that wears the Bonnie mask who helps Michael torture his crying brother to death. We know from Ruin's item descriptions that Cassie's dad's favorite character was Bonnie. In that game, we were also able to collect both an old school Foxy and Bonnie mask, which was an odd detail when you consider that there were no other OG animatronic masks present like Freddy or Chica, that seemed to be referencing the masks that both Michael Afton and Bonnie Bro were wearing on that fateful day in 1983. Those details, coupled with a few other things, led us to the whole Bonnie Bro conclusion. But now that the full game's out, it certainly seems definitive that our theory was right. You see, towards the end of Help Wanted 2, we're given the chance to light fires next to the gravestones of some very familiar missing children. Light them in a specific order, and you unlock a secret chest. A chest that contains none other than that old Bonnie mask. When you collect it, we see the text, "This looks familiar." It also unlocks an achievement called Lost Luggage. This right here, this was our mask. It was one that we thought was lost to time. One worn during that horrific accident.
Wow, so sorry for pausing, guys, but so now FNAF is like connecting the FNAF 4 again. I said this many times that Final Fantasy 4 is the one thing that, or the one game that MatPat just keep going back to, because that's the first time the lore is getting super crazy that nobody can solve it, right? And then like many years later, we're still going back to FNAF 4 and finding that connection now. And are the future stories gonna be about Chica and Freddy here, that all this NPC character, you know, like the brother's friend here is gonna be, or Michael's friend, I guess, is gonna be important now, you know, for the future? Okay, sure, I guess. I mean, what else are you gonna go, right?
Speaking of that date, in order to find the game's secret ending, we have to unlock 6 creepy voodoo doll plushies, each one hidden behind very explicit in-game actions. In one, you go to Sister Location's private room and type in a very specific date. I bet you can guess what it is. 1983.
Yep.
And that year just keeps coming up. Multiple minigames take place during Fall Fest, which, in the previous VR Games DLC, was specifically called out as being in 1983. That is why we're considered special, because we were part of that fateful day. Because by killing the crying child, we sent William on a murderous rampage. It's a memory that we, as Bonnie Bro, have tried to repress. And that's not just me speculating. We know that Bonnie Bro has been actively trying to avoid these memories based on Mystic Hippo asking us this.
Do you remember?
It's also why when we collect one of the first secret voodoo plushies, we get a trophy in-game whose description reads, "Retrieve a memory." Basically, by playing this game and getting these secret objects, we're forcing ourselves to confront memories that we've buried deep in our psyche. We're coming to terms with the trauma of our past. We're accepting it as something that happened that cannot be changed, only atoned for. Which then brings us to the game's endings. If you play through the game normally, just by completing the various minigames Helpy tasks you with, you eventually unlock the 6 members of the Faz Force, the FNAF universe version of the Transformers, because let's face it, at this point, FNAF has literally parodied every IP known to mankind. Once you complete the collection, the lights
it's
flicker
quite fun,
and suddenly a
you can
charging
deny
station appears, which opens up to reveal the hand of our dear friend Glitch Trap. Another flash, suddenly the Nightmare staff bots appear, attacking you. Glitch Trap has won. He's tricked us. He's used Cassie's dad's love of collectibles against him. Much like the tapes in Help Wanted 1, these action figures contained parts of him, his memories, his essence. By gathering them all together, we've once again made Glitch Trap whole. With Princess Quest being the canon ending and security breach, it means that Glitch Trap lost his hold over Vanessa. He needed himself a new helper, so he lured us in, the last human employee remaining, and got us to put the pieces back together to reawaken him. The cycle once again repeats. That's why we see him reaching out at the charging station. Just like during the Burn Trap ending, he has enough strength to reawaken, to take control, and it's only then that the staff bots show up to kill us. But things aren't quite done yet. After our death, we change perspective into the eyes of a staff bot. And not just any staff bot. Specifically, we're looking through the eyes of the one who tells Cassie to take a mask at the beginning of Security Breach Ruin.
Take a mask. Take a mask.
It would seem like we've been absorbed into the system. Our consciousness is now part of this map bot. We're trapped inside of it, forced to execute its commands. In the ultimate of ironies, the mask that we were using to try and stop Glitch Trap becomes the mask that we now give our daughter as map bot. This is then what results in her getting that occipital implant. This is how Helpy memory gets into her mind, and this is eventually how the mimic gets free. To me, the way that you get this ending, it's highly symbolic. By not accepting our past, by ignoring and repressing the scars of our past actions, by not unlocking all those memory plushies, we've passed our mistakes forward, and in the process, we managed to doom our own daughter. Bonnie Bro didn't just ruin the life of one child, he wound up ruining two. Our actions have...
I gotta say, that was pretty cool, you know, in terms of how the two of them are connected, you know. Like, I think when I saw that ending, I didn't really, like, super impressed by it, but, like, listening to Matt explaining it now, and how that means that the main character, the Bonnie, right, the Cassie's dad, I guess, that doesn't want to move on, and it doesn't, you know, just, like, ignoring it, that this is, like, the crime that he did in the past. It allegedly affect his own daughter in the future. I think that's you know what, that was really cool. I don't really care too much about the FNAF lore because sometimes they are too complicated right now, but I gotta say, this is like a pretty cool idea, you know, I'm not gonna lie.
In short, single-handedly prompted the events of ruin. But hold on, I just kind of glossed over a big detail there. We're attacked by a bunch of corrupted staff bots, and then suddenly we're in MapBot? How? It's kind of a big leap there, you know? Well, at first, I thought that we were just scanned into the system. The Mimic AI scanned our brains while we were wearing the Vanny mask, and boom, we're now stuck as part of the AI program running the whole Pizzaplex. But looking closer at the details, I think there's actually another explanation here. When you look at the MapBot through the Vanny mask in Ruin, it looks different from all the other staff bots that you encounter in the game. It looks more organic. You can actually see what appears to be a brain stuffed inside of its head. Compare that to how every other staff bot looks under that same AR lens, and it's completely different. Why would that be, though? Well, it would appear as though our brain, or at the very least our organic matter, was stuffed inside of these robotic suits. It's part of what's powering this particular bot. But again, I ask, why? This seems to be such a random detail.
True.
Until you remember what a computer brain would be learning from studying Afton's behavior. Afton stuffs his victims into animatronic suits. That's what he did during the missing children's incident. It's what we see Glitchtrap doing at the end of Help Wanted 1, and apparently it's what he did to Bonnie Bro. He stuffed him into MapBot here. For a while, there's been a lot of confusion about the true nature of Glitchtrap. Is it a virus? Is it Afton and the Mimic AI? Was Burntrap the Mimic? It's largely been left unclear. But now I actually think this ending is trying to give us an answer. In the books, they make it explicitly clear that there are at least two mimics threatening the Pizzaplex. First, there's a physical mimic that's buried down in the basement that physically walks around and is able to kill people. Then there's the second version, a more general AI program that's eventually able to get installed to run the entirety of the Pizzaplex and is able to control and corrupt all the animatronics that work there. Is this confusing? Yeah. Is it frustrating? Most definitely. But I also now see what they were going for with this storyline. Remember how an AI works? You train it by feeding it situational data, and the data that goes in directly influences how it's going to behave moving forward. There's even an example of this with the Endo Daycare minigame in Help Wanted 2. You're teaching an AI program how to behave. Good data going in gives you good behavior. Bad data going in gives you chaotic behavior. In the books, we see the basement AI being trained up with a simple code. Rip off all the arms and legs of things that look humanoid. And it does this over and over again in epilogue after epilogue to each and every one of our teenage protagonists. The data that the basement AI was trained up on was simple and it was non-specific, but like a good program, it did exactly what it was told. Ripped off all those limbs. Now compare that to the Pizzaplex AI. This was trained using a lot more data. It was told to copy the behavior of actual humans, and so it learned coded languages. It learned a wider series of gestures and behaviors. It learned how to play games and hang up clothing. It was far more sophisticated. So by having two different versions of the Mimic in the books, what we're really seeing are different ways that an AI can be trained up and how the behavior spins off of that. So how's that all applied to the games? Well, in Ruin, there's a key moment on the catwalks of Monty Gator Golf that show two entities working together, but also acting separately, as they're able to argue against each other. Helpy says, "I took care of the situation," to which the Mimic responds, they're cut from the same cloth. They both started as the Mimic program, but they've evolved in different ways. And based on all of that, I suspect that the Mimic Cassie runs from at the end of Ruin is a parallel for the book's basement AI, a simpler, older system that uses Gregory's voice to talk to us throughout Ruin. This one just exists and executes two simple goals: kill things and escape from the basement. But then there's the Pizzaplex AI. I suspect that this is the more sophisticated system. This is the one that's been trained up on Afton's data specifically. It's the one that embodies itself as Glitchtrap, and it's also the one that speaks to us in the form of Helpy. And we know this to be true because of what we see throughout Help Wanted 2. In this one game, the AI is drawing from pretty much every past animatronic, including characters like Scrap Baby and Lefty, which are odd pulls considering they're characters that were never put on display for the public. These were characters that only existed for the fake pizzeria made to entrap Afton in FNAF 6.
Yeah,
so the fact that the system here knows about them means that they had to have come from Afton's mind. It's also why in the Helpy Hospital minigames, we see a kid's drawing of a burning pizza restaurant with Helpy running away. That's how Afton was able to escape and live on. His consciousness was contained within the Helpy AI, which was able to survive the FNAF 6 fire. And remind me again, who's the one that encourages us to play these minigames throughout Help Wanted 2? The minigames that lead to the collection of the Faz Force toys, which ultimately give us the bad ending? Oh yeah, it's Helpy. And not just any Helpy either. Helpy spelled with an I. That spelling detail actually matters. You see, the name of the physical animatronic Helpy, it's spelled H-E-L-P-Y. But in Ruin, that digital neural implant Helpy is spelled H-E-L-P-I. And once you know it, in the game files for Help Wanted 2, the Helpy on the projector screen is once again spelled with an I. This is Glitchtrap, the mimic program trained up on Afton's data. He's yet again trying to put the pieces back together, and by completing his tasks and unlocking the Faz Force, you help him to succeed. He's now back in full control of the Pizzaplex, ready for Ruin, ready to create a new servant in Cassie to finish what Vanessa started. But if I've learned anything from Steel Wool, it's that you can't always trust the first ending you see. Remember that creepy plushie that we unlocked earlier? Well, there are 6 of them in total, each one unlocked via a seemingly random series of actions. Put a code into the whack-a-mole.
Okay, I'm sorry for pausing, guys, but here's the thing about the lore right now. I feel like this could be much more, I guess, a bit more interesting if they just let go the William Afton storyline, because I think right now they keep dragging the William Afton storyline to the current game, and it kind of feels forced now. Like when I listen to MadPass talking, it makes sense, but every single time he mentioned Afton, it's like that's Afton AI, and that's how he survived, Final Fantasy Freddy 6, when the pizzeria burning down. And I feel like FNAF 6 should be the end of the Afton saga, and then the next one is gonna be like an AI threat. There doesn't really need to be like a supernatural threat or like in a Ghost in Kids machine or something like that. It could just be like an AI went rogue, or like maybe someone else like controlling the AI instead of like William Afton again. And I get it that he's the main bad guy of the franchise. It makes sense why he is like the main villain throughout the entire game, but I feel like right now they are milking William Afton's character, because I feel like FNAF 6 is a perfect ending for the Afton saga. Everybody was there, they all converged in that one building, and then they got burned down, and then it should just be the end. Like this guy got burned down so many times, and then he's still alive, and then this is like the reason now, because like the AI, like he has transferred his consciousness to an AI program, and I'm just like, okay, that feels forced, man. I gotta be honest here, but let's continue. Let's see what MadPat has to say about the other ending, right?
Game backwards. Make a weird soda mixture only during a complete electrical shutdown of the factory. Shoot a random rocket ship during various Phaser Blast minigames until you get to FNAF 2, at which point you pop balloon recreations of the animatronics to unlock a final boss battle against a cutout of spring trap. Like I said, these get bizarre and they get convoluted in a hurry. But the main thing you need to know about them is that by collecting them, you unlock a glitched coin that allows you to play the 4th and final version of Princess Quest's arcade cabinet. At first, it plays just like your normal Princess Quest minigame. You swing your sword, you kill the glitchy bunnies, you collect the keys. Simple. At least until it's not. You open a door and you suddenly find yourself standing next to someone playing an arcade cabinet. Next thing you know, the princess is standing there in the room with you. Are you kidding me?
Oh man.
Oh, this is nuts.
That was
The
pretty
real
cool
world
though, I'm
and
not
the
gonna lie.
digital world are leaking into each other. Reach into the screen, grab your sword, and suddenly you are the princess. Who's the princess now? Glowing sword in hand, we fight our way through the glitching bunnies until we meet the old Red King. We give him our Vanny mask, and in return, he gives us the Glitchtrap plushie from Help Wanted 1. And this is where things go really off the rails. Out of nowhere, the sister location elevator appears. Hop in, and suddenly it takes us inside of a giant claw machine with a giant Vanny staring in at us. We offer up the Glitchtrap plushie, revealing the true Glitchtrap. She crushes him and then fades into darkness. Doing so unlocks the trophy named Consequences. The description reads, System threats found, repair complete. So, what was all that? Well, actually it seems pretty explicit. Glitchtrap
destroy
was the system
Glitchtrap?
threat. By crushing him, he's been deleted and the wider AI system's been repaired. We won, except is that possible? Didn't I just say that the other ending
No.
showed us the
Of
start
course
of
not.
ruin? For that game to exist, which we know it does, Glitchtrap has to survive here. So is this secret ending not canon then? Just a cool reveal with no substance? No, actually, I don't believe so. For the first time ever in this franchise's history, I, Matt Pat, believe that both endings are canon. Let me explain.
Okay.
I do think that we're destroying Glitchtrap in the Vanny ending, but I'm not exactly sure it's a system-wide removal. Instead, I suspect that this ending is specifically about Vanessa herself. We've known since the original Help Wanted that Vanessa, Glitchtrap, and Princess Quest have all been inextricably connected. For those of you who don't remember, the Princess Quest minigame originated back in the 2D version of Help Wanted, where they needed a game to replace the original mechanic of piecing together the missing 16 tapes from Tape Girl. Here, we watch as Vanessa, the princess, falls victim to Glitchtrap. In Security Breach, you beat Princess Quest 3, which shows Glitchtrap being defeated and Vanessa walking out of the Pizzaplex freed, leaving the Vanny mask behind. So the fact that we're now playing Princess Quest again tells me that we're not fighting to remove Glitchtrap from the Pizzaplex system. Instead, we're yet again fighting specifically to free Vanessa. These games have always been about Vanessa and Glitchtrap. I wouldn't expect 4 to deviate from that pattern. Even my old buddy Candy Cadet's trying to tell us that this game is about finishing Vanessa's story. Throughout Help Wanted 2, you collect coins that can then be traded to Candy Cadet for pieces of a story. His second one tells about a young woman that's been lured in by a friendly voice, only for it to have been a witch that tries to eat her.
Now let me tell you a story about a young woman who, when she was little, was led into a dark forest by a witch and almost eaten.
She manages to escape, but she's permanently scarred in the process. When she's older, she returns and is met by a young boy who offers to help.
When she had grown, she sought revenge on the witch and entered the forest again willingly. She was greeted at the mouth of the forest by a young boy who offered to help guide her through the darkness. She welcomed the help and followed the young boy over the river, through the jagged trees, and toward a small house. She followed the boy into the house. The oven door closed. The witch would finally have her meal.
This right here, this is Vanessa's story, cut and dry. She was lured in by what she thought was a friendly voice, Tape Girl, telling her to gather the tapes to stop Glitchtrap, only for Glitchtrap to then take control. She does escape, but is permanently scarred by this. She has the Glitchtrap virus inside of her. It's not in full control, but it's definitely there, which is what we hear about in the emails from FNAF AR and the retro CDs from Security Breach.
I compartmentalized him. He's locked away.
She had compartmentalized him. He wasn't in full control, at least not yet. She then comes back to try to kill Glitchtrap herself, but runs into a young boy who seems like he's gonna help her, only to lure her deeper under Glitchtrap's control. By the time she transfers to the Pizzaplex, Vanessa's tone has changed in her therapy tapes.
I'm needed somewhere else now. Thank you.
We see the same thing in the FNAF AR emails. She's no longer in control. Glitchtrap has completely taken over, and it's all thanks to the only little boy that we know of, Gregory. Thanks to his retro CDs, we know that he was meeting a person in a bunny costume.
You're talking to someone or something. It's hard to tell. What are those things? They almost look like rabbit ears.
Gregory is a villain. At the very least, he was at some point in the story. That is clear as day. Between this Candy Cadet story, GGY, and the fact that he was clearly working with Vanny before the events of Security Breach, he is not on our side. He was the one that helped Glitchtrap to take full control of Vanessa, right up until the end of Security Breach. Even cut lines of dialogue from Help Wanted 2 seem to support our conclusion here. These voice lines come directly from Vanessa, and they tell us the following, quote, "You need to listen to me carefully. Don't help it escape. It's using you to finish where she left off. Only a small piece of his code remains." Vanessa is back to being more in control, but she knows that a small part of him remains. The Glitchtrap plushie that started it all back in Help Wanted. We also get lines like, "The memories are freed. Use the token. Bring him to me." Referencing the memory plushies that we're collecting, the glitched Princess Quest token, and then being told to bring the plushie to her so that she can crush it herself once and for all. Destroying Glitchtrap inside of her mind allows that other persona, Vanny, to finally fade into darkness. Vanessa is truly free. And we know this to be true because after this ending, when you go back to the main hub screen, Helpy's gone, replaced by a boy claiming that the Fazbear pizza tastes like real cheese. Delicious for him, but even tastier is the fact that Helpy's been purged. Glitchtrap is gone. At least he's gone from this version of the program. And you see, this is what I meant about endings and beginnings. This to me feels like a very specific end, the end of Vanessa's story, and with it, the end of this current era of FNAF, from Help Wanted 1 to Help Wanted 2. Let's call it the Vanessa arc. She's no longer a part of the story. Her battle's over. We saved her completely. But in closing out her story, the cycle also repeats. Yet again, we have ourselves an innocent girl, this time named Cassie, being lured in by a seemingly friendly voice, Gregory. But in reality, it's all a trap, thanks to that occipital occipital implant, she now has Helpy as a part of her mind, just like Vanessa did with Glitch Trap. And now she's wearing the mask more and more frequently, again like Vanny. In short, it's been passed on. Cassie is just Vanessa 2.0. Gone is the era of Vanessa and Glitch Trap. Long live Cassie and the Mimic AI. At this point, the only question is, what's it truly gonna take to break this cycle once and for all? But hey, I'm gonna continue digging for deeper lore and winning all these prizes.
What do we got? El Chip? Head chef box. Great, just what I always wanted.
I wanted to make sure you guys had a chance to win some prizes of your very own. In fact, there's actually a chance to win $10,000. That's all thanks to our sponsor for today's episode, SoFi.
Okay, so for the rest of this is just a sponsor, so I'm not gonna react to that obviously. So yeah, I gotta say that was not what I expected for the beginning or the end here, because this visually looks cool, and I think the way Matt explaining all of that is like, yeah, that makes sense, and I think that's a pretty cool conclusion, I guess. But it's also feel anticlimactic, you know, because I think like Vanessa was never the character that we play of, you know. We see Vanessa in Security Breach, and then we kind of see her in Help Wanted. I guess she's the character in Help Wanted, but it's like, it's a mystery character, you know. It's unlike Gregory or Cassie, you know, or like William Afton. Like, I don't know, like Vanessa was just introduced in Security Breach, like truly introduced in Security Breach, you know. And then yes, you could go back to How Wanted, that she was always there, but it's like, I don't know, to me it feels unceremonious that this is like the end of Vanessa's storyline, because I never really care for her, to be honest. Like her as Vanny is cool, I'm not gonna lie. Like, look at that, you know, look at that Vanny design. I think she as Vanny looks pretty cool, you know. I think this could be like the classic 80s or 90s, you know, slasher, where a woman wearing a mask and then like murdering children, like the classic slasher, you know. But my point is, I never really cared that much about Vanessa's character because she's barely there, and I know that a lot of FNAF fanboys are immediately gonna get angry at me for saying that, but it's just like, yeah, I mean, it's Five Nights at Freddy's, man. I feel like when something got resolved, it's not as, you know, like big and very ceremonious ending, you know, like Five Nights at Freddy's 6, you know, like, or like the Freddy Fazbear simulators, you know. And that FNAF 6 ending is actually a big ending that I think was really, really great in my opinion, you know, because it does serve as a conclusion for the Afton storyline. And I feel like, again, like I said before, I think the Afton storyline needs to end there, and then now we can finally move on to something new for the franchise. And I guess you could say this is something new, but they keep bringing back William Afton, the purple guy, you know. You guys remember? You know, keep calling him purple guy. Like, they keep bringing him back as the main villain, even though like the story that we are experiencing right now is new now. You know, we are delving into the AI territory, like the Matrix territory even, you know. It's like, okay, but it's like, why would you still following William Afton's storyline and then we keep digging into the past? Like, I feel like that's unnecessary, and I'm really hoping that Five Nights at Freddy's could just like move on with the story, actually move on, like put the William Afton story to rest and then actually move on. But based on the ending right here that Matt had explained, if it was to be believed that the cycle just repeat again with Cassie, it's like, man, that was so, I don't know, man. It just make me frustrated that the future of FNAF storyline, at least, you know, I know I said I don't really care, but I'm actually looking forward for them to concluding William Afton's storyline. But I guess that never happened, and I guess they got their chance before in FNAF 6, you know, which would be a perfect ending for the classic Five Nights at Freddy's lore, and then Help Wanted could start something new, and it does start something new, but it was connected to the past. It was connected to William Afton, which I found that to be unnecessary. And now with this theory, it seems like the cycle repeat again. Now we have Cassie, and then I guess we're gonna be following Cassie for the future game. Which, I gotta be honest, Cassie was just a kid, so it's like, it's not that interesting of the character, and the lore itself wasn't that interesting either at this point, you know, because I feel like, you know, it keeps connecting it to the past, which is fine, you know. Like, I think the Bonnie connection with the 1983 one, I think that was pretty cool, you know. I think the message there was like, you have to basically let that go and accept that, yes, you are committing this horrible crime, you know, that basically kill a kid back in 1983, and then it eventually free you from, or like, you know, manage to free Vanessa and then maybe save your daughter in a way. But again, like Matt Pat said, Ruin has to happen, so this takes place before the Ruin DLC. So I think I think Glistrap is still there, William Afton is still there, and I'm just like, man, like if the cycle just repeat again, then the lore is not gonna be that interesting. It's gonna be getting weird and weird instead of like exciting and interesting, you know. And I kind of miss the old lore where it was just like us figuring out, you know, who is purple guy, you know, like who is this missing kids, you know, and then how does they connect to the animatronic, you know, and how do we free them, you know. Like FNAF 1 to FNAF 3 is actually a perfect trilogy for the classic lore, you know. And then, like I said before, FNAF 6 is a perfect conclusion for the Afton storyline, which they didn't do that, you know. I guess they do that technically, but they still continue that, you know. Like even though it's new, you could argue that, well, William Afton is still here. He's still the main villain as Glistrap, and then apparently that's how he was surviving because of the AI that managed to save his, you know, consciousness in a way, or like his brain. And it was just like, man, come on. Like, I feel like Final Fantasy should end the Afton storyline and truly move on to something new and interesting. Like the AI storyline, okay, but it was like, I don't know. Like, it's not that I didn't find it to be that interesting. I kind of wish that they go a much more supernatural route, kind of like the old lore in a way. But I guess we'll see. You know, I don't know. Like at this point, I'm just like, okay, I guess I just gotta sit there and follow MatPat's theory. You know, just to see what's gonna happen to the franchise. So the gameplay alone, it seems fun. You know, and I would love to play Help Wanted someday on VR, but that's gonna be way in the future if it's gonna happen at all, you know. But either way, guys, I guess that's my reaction for Game Theory, the FNAF an end and a beginning, which is like super anticlimactic conclusion, to be honest. I'm just like, oh, okay, that's the end and that's the beginning. Cool. I guess like nothing must happen. There is not much hype to see what's gonna be moving forward. But again, that's just my opinion, because I know that a lot of you guys probably loving the shit out of this lore, and that's fine. But it's just not for me, man. I feel like FNAF has been very weird, you know, with the lore, and not that interesting and fun to decipher what it is, you know. I guess for MatPat it still is, you know, but it's MatPat, you know, it's been doing this for a long time, so of course he's gonna be hype about it, you know. Which again, more power to him, more power to you guys, you know. It's just my opinion that I didn't really like how this story is going, but hey, I just being cynical about FNAF at this point, right? Either way, I'm sorry about that, but regardless, I guess you guys can let me know in the comment section below, you know, what do you guys think about this Final Fantasy theory right here, you know. Do you guys agree with MatPat, or maybe you guys disagree, maybe you guys have other theory, you know, and what do you guys think about the conclusion about this, you know, about the end and the beginning of, I guess, the end for Vanessa and the beginning for Cassie's storyline potentially. Like, how do you guys feel about that? Because I feel nothing, man. I'll be honest, you know. But again, let me know all that in the comment section below. And if you guys enjoyed this video, then make sure you guys, you know, leave a like, comment, subscribe, you know. And if you guys want to watch the original video, then again, the link will be in the description below, guys. And make sure you guys check the Game Theory channel as well, you know. Subscribe to MatPat, show some support, because this guy has been keeping up with the Final Fantasy lore, so that is something that I could definitely praise off, you know, because FNAF is too much at this point, right? So I gotta give a hand to MatPat here, that he managed to read the books, you know, and then play the games, and then put out a video discussing the theory, you know, and then still trying to be consistent with the Final Fantasy lore. I think that's amazing, you know. That is something that I think he should be proud of, you know. So yeah. Anyway, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this reaction video, guys, and again, stay tuned for more in the future. And I will see you guys in the next one then. Bye.